Here's a really interesting question for you all. Do you think Montreal Canadiens general manager Marc Bergevin would consider trading Carey Price if he could find a general manager willing to take on his onerous contract and Price agreed to waive his no movement clause?
I don't know for sure, but I'm quite sure that there's been some discussions pre-March, the month of March, because obviously Carey playing very, very well in the month. But before then, I would like to think that Bergevin and Price have talked and maybe scratched the surface. Okay, I'm moving forward. Carey, wants to win. He wants to get a championship. If he doesn't really see that there's things going all his way, maybe the change of scenery is good, and obviously they would have to do something on the salary front to accommodate him in the event that something was presented that Marc Bergevin had to consider. But it's a tough call, and it's going to be interesting to see if something like this starts to heat up if they don't get things going on a positive way in the last stretch. And I'm sure the conversations are happening, and Carey wants to win. That's a bottom line.
Bergevin definitely should be listening. I mean, this team hasn't won anything with Carey Price, and that's not necessarily knock on Carey Price. They haven't been able to win with him as their goalie with all that money. And you look at Shea Weber. When the Nashville Predators traded Shea Weber, they didn't trade Shea Weber. They traded Shea Weber's contract. They knew that contract was going to be a killer at the end. It was a ridiculous contract where they had to match an offer sheet from the Philadelphia Flyers. And the day they signed that contract, I think it was the day they started looking into, okay, we got to trade this guy at some point because we can't carry this contract the whole way. And I think the Canadiens are in a similar situation. Carey Price is up and down now with his play. He's not consistent like he used to be. You've got $10.5 million wrapped up in him for another 5 years per season on the salary cap. And if you can get rid of the contract now, you might not be able to get rid of it another year or two if Carey continues to struggle. And I think Marc Bergevin showed his frustration with Carey Price when he fired Stéphane Waite, and he did it during a game. I think he wanted to get Carey Price's attention and rattle his cage a bit and go, man, you got to play better, and now your goalie coach has lost his job because of you. And Price played better after that. But I think Marc Bergevin has to be listening, because that contract combined with Weber's contract, you have two deals there that are $18 million a year on your salary cap, and those contracts are going to get harder to trade moving forward. And look what happened in Nashville. PK Subban came up. They made that trade to get rid of the contract. Canadiens fans will say the Canadiens won that trade, and there's good reason to argue that. But on the other hand, Nashville was able to trade PK. PK was still tradable. So it's if somebody's willing to take that Carey Price contract off your hand and is willing to pay a good price for it, I wouldn't let him go for nothing. I think Marc Bergevin has to listen and listen seriously.
Yeah, in this fictional world that another team would be interested in this, which is going to be a very hard sell to make, he has to trade Carey Price in that case, because this team has really not gone anywhere in the last few years. And the idea that having the best goalie in the world will be the key to getting you to be a Stanley Cup contending team isn't the case. And they do have Jake Allen, Caden Primo, so some good, reliable people in goal for the future that can take over from Carey Price. But it's just too much money locked into one player who isn't being the difference maker that the players who get paid those big bucks and have these contracts are supposed to do. So I think in order for the Montreal Canadiens to be a team that's going to not just be a playoff team, because in the end, a playoff team doesn't really matter, a Stanley Cup contending team, the only way to go would be to find another team who would take Carey Price off your hands.
And you're right. It would have to be a team with $10.5 million in salary cap space, and a team willing to spend that much on one goalie. And when you look at so many other successful teams around the NHL now, it's a two-goalie system where you have two goalies that you pay one $5 million and one $3 million or something like that, and that's the way you go.
And you have the age factor coming into play. Like, do goalies get better after 33, 34, 35 years old? I'm not sure about that. So, you've got to move when the time is right. And, I'm sure that, like I said, there's discussions going on. Okay, what if, we try this or we look at that? And should be interesting to see what comes about this on the final stretch.
And after Stéphane fired, he talked about how Carey has, back issues, hip issues, knee issues, that, he's not the goalie he was. health-wise, 4 or 5 years ago, and those, he's getting older, and those injuries are going to become more of a concern moving forward.
Yeah, this has to be an off-season thing because I can't see any contending team wanting to trade for Carey Price, even if you got to a situation where they were like, you know what, the Canadiens will have to retain some salary. Just thinking of the three big contending teams here, your Tampa's, your Colorado's, your Vegas, their teams are set. And they already have solid net-minding presence already, so I don't see any team really going that far to look at Carey Price. Maybe it's an off-season thing, but even at that, who knows what's going to happen with that contract. Visit hockeyinsideout.com to check out our full episode and join the discussion in the comment section.